Hello everyone, welcome back to another Doctor Who Big Finish related video. In today's Big Finish related video, we are giving you 10 recommendations from the recent monthly range sale of 200 to 230. We, the Big Finish connoisseurs, have every right to give you these recommendations. And our first recommendation is Aquitaine.
Aquitaine, it is indeed. This is our first Fifth Doctor recommendation because we love a bit of Peter Davison here.
Mhm.
And, this slot in the monthly range, this was prime Fifth Doctor era, I feel.
Yes, king
And
of the main range at this point.
yeah, and Aquitaine is such a strong release. It is this creepy horror sci-fi story set on a ship that is, pretty close to a black hole. I think closer than is comfortable, is fair to say. The Fifth Doctor, Nyssa, and Tegan in this one arrive there and quickly get separated. Things go wrong. Time tracks seem to be getting jumped. There's a lots of mystery to solve, and there's a wonderful butler, robot butler called Hargreaves,
Oh, we
who
mustn't grumble. He's a great character.
oh, he is wonderful. He makes this story, but everything comes together wonderfully here. It's classic Doctor Who distilled in many ways, I feel.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it, I can't get enough of this release, so
It's
wholeheartedly recommend this one.
it's one where you don't want the story to end. It's a great sort of it explores time and I guess time dilation a bit differently, a bit like Golden from
Yeah.
Time, a little
Yeah,
precursor
if
to
you're a
that.
fan of that story, then this is definitely worth looking at because this did come before, a little bit
Yeah, it
before.
did the year
Yeah.
before.
Mm. So it's wonderful stuff. I mean, 10 out of 10 for me, I think.
A 10 out of 10 release for me. It is the Peterloo Massacre by Paul Mars. Now, Paul Mars is a renowned sort of comedy Doctor Who writer. But this is him writing completely serious about a historical event, the Peterloo Massacre.
Yeah,
And
pure historical, this one.
it's a story that at the time I was very skeptical about because, I wasn't a huge fan of the Fifth Doctor at this point, and the thought of a 2 hour historical didn't excite me. But listening to this, I was just sold completely by it. It's such a heartwarming and tragic story,
Yeah.
and
Like the
has
post
some of
200 releases really are the renaissance of the Fifth Doctor.
yes, yeah, absolutely. I think
Uh,
this is when Davison is really kicked into his stride, and I think
yeah.
this
He won our
story
hearts.
he did, especially when he confronts Hurley, and that's
Mm.
where you get to see sort of a more fierce Fifth Doctor, and just the impending nature of this massacre. Yeah, it's tremendous. It's dark, um, but has a lot of heart
There's a
to it.
sense of foreboding throughout the
Yes.
first half of this. And then it wonderfully explores like the immediate aftermath of it all as well.
Mm.
And that, all comes together wonderfully here for this story. Another really strong story. This time we've got Adric along for the ride for this next recommendation. It's Zoltis. Uh,
Yes. This is a nice little fun story to sort of get you in the mood for goth opera without giving too much away.
yeah, there's certainly some thematic ties in there, I suppose you could say,
Yeah.
at the very least. But yeah, this one was just a surprising amount of fun, I think.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going for it, just in terms of being a romp, but with some dark moments in there as well. Like I think it balances both those sides of the Fifth Doctor era rather wonderfully.
It's got that nice sort of hard sci-fi feel of season 19. The music feels very early Davison,
Mm.
like Roger Lim
Uh,
style music, which is great.
and there's a fun little Third Doctor reference in there to keep an ear out for, which if you know anything about this channel, you know that pleases us.
That automatically makes it a 10 out of 10. But while we're talking about crisscrossing, should we talk about some Sixth Doctor stories?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's crisscross from the Fifth Doctor to the Sixth Doctor, shall we?
With our first recommendation, Crisscross, which is the introduction of Constance Clark, one of the Sixth Doctor's new companion. I say new companion; she's nearly 10 years old.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
she's coming back this month for the Quinn Dilemma, the
yes.
release that celebrates 40 years of the Sixth Doctor. So, if you're interested in that release, you want a bit of background on your Constance Clark, this is the release to go for. Set during World War II at Bletchley Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there?
No, I've never been. Never
I
been.
have. It's
Been past
wonderful.
it.
Yeah, it's worth a visit. Worth a visit. Especially, you listen to parts 1 to 2 on the way, you listen to parts 3 to 4 of this on the way
Oh, it's
back.
perfect. It's
Full
perfect.
experience. Yeah. But I do really enjoy this story. The World War II setting, always so evocative, isn't it?
Yes, and you can tell Matt Fitton, I think, who wrote this, did a lot of research for it.
Yeah. Constance Clark herself is a leading Wren at Bletchley, so she is a code breaker. And you get a rather nice Sixth Doctor costume on this cover as well. So it's quite fun imagining him in a different look, striding about this story. Yeah, it's just a good bit of fun, really, this one.
It's one story that you can't predict. There's a few little twists and turns with who can you trust, who's a double agent.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
Like the title suggests, there's a lot of crisscrossing.
Absolutely. There we go. That says it all. Says it all.
Another Sixth Doctor and Constance release that is worth a look at is Shield of the Jotun, which sort of deals with Vikings over in America, or
Arizona.
Viking legends, over in Arizona, which you might not think is the case when you look at the cover and see all the snow, but it all makes sense. There's some freak weather conditions at play here.
It feels like a very early Big Finish story, like 1 to 50, like Genocide Machine, and I say Land of the Dead and Winter for the Adept. It sort of has that sort of same evocative.
Would you say a bit of Invaders of Mars as well with the American accents?
A little bit of that. But this feels quite blockbuster-esque with the TARDIS being pulled out of the vortex.
It's another good romp, really.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing, really, and it closes the first Constance trilogy.
And then the second Constance trilogy opens with
Order of the Daleks, which is quite fitting, as John Savadent recently passed away, and we've got him playing one of the great characters within this, sort of the abbot, isn't it? I think of in this.
Yeah, one of the abbots. I mean, you got your main abbot played by Nick Briggs in this. He's sort of doubling up as Daleks and this abbot. This is set on an alien world where some Daleks have crash landed near a monastery. They're a little worse for wear, and so the monks have rebuilt their casings out of stained glass, which gives a wonderful image for the cover. And
beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the Daleks in a more vulnerable position in this story,
because they're not the most deadly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Same with the Cybermen, I feel. Like, often these villains are more interesting when they're at their most desperate than they are when they're all powerful. It forces them to adapt and be more intelligent, be more cunning, and that can make them all the more terrifying. Particularly in this, when you imagine the halls of this monastery, the candlelit settings, the darkened corridors, the secret passages. It all comes together rather evocatively for this story.
If you like Power of the Daleks, you'll get a real kick out of this one.
Speaking of the Daleks, shall we jump onto our 7th Doctor recommendations from this sale now? We're going right to the first story from this sale, 201. The sort of almost relaunch that they did of the monthly range at this point.
Yeah, it was a clean slate, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was sort of like they're inviting people to jump on and see what this range is all about, what it has to offer. And there was no better story to do that than We Are the Daleks, I think.
Yes, I think this is a good sort of big jumping on point to Big Finish for what it does, because it shows Mel actually sort of computer programming with this video game Warfleet, which has got a lot more of a darker meaning behind it.
Yeah. It's very 80s, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's doing the same thing that Remembrance of the Daleks did for the 60s, 25 years later. This is almost the same gap in time between, I think it's about 27, 28 years since the McCoy era when this came out in 2015. And
yeah.
so this is sort of looking back at the 80s from that lens. And it's another romp again. It's just so much fun. The action is brilliant. Sometimes action audio doesn't work. I think this is one of the cases where it really works. The music will come together well. It's fast paced. It keeps your heart racing. And yeah, it's just a damn good Doctor Who story, I think.
I think one of the best monthly range stories, I would say.
A really strong one. Highly, highly recommend this if you're looking for some Seventh Doctor to. I mean, maybe if you haven't listened to any Seventh Doctor at Big Finish, this is the one to go for. If you haven't listened to any Big Finish at all, this isn't a bad place to start.
Yeah, it really isn't. Our next recommendation, hopefully from this sale, will help Big Finish clear their warehouse, which is our next recommendation. The Warehouse, the second story in this trilogy.
Where...
I
mean, while you mention that,
go on.
All the items that are on sale are on clearance. This is their warehouse clearance sale, and so if you do want these on CD, get them while you can, because once they're gone, they are gone.
Yeah, you'll be paying eBay secondary market prices.
Yeah. So half price, $7.49 each. Not bad for a 2-disc CD there.
No, not bad at all. But the Warehouse, it is very much sort of Seventh Doctor Kablam, isn't it? With
it's very much doing that same
rats.
It's doing that same idea that Paradise Towers did of taking this rather mundane setting and throwing it into a very sci-fi world. So this is a warehouse that is also a space station, and it's sort of become its own little world in itself, really. You get to explore the dynamics of everyone living within there and how events from the past have shaped the present, has shaped this little microcosm of human life, why these people are as they are. It's a great mysteries in this one, and just a great amount of fun to be had again. It's season 24, but I hesitate to say done right, because
it shows the potential
I quite like
of what that season was going for, isn't it?
Has a darker edge to it as well, this one. But yeah, I mean, I do quite like a lot of what season 24 has to offer, but I know that it has its flaws and
it's an acquired taste.
Has a lot of its detractors as well. I think this one will work for you regardless of whether you are a huge fan of season 24 or you can't stand it whatsoever. I think this has the flavour, but has more to offer as well, and all comes together very nicely. But moving into more, I'd say season 26 territory, this one gives the vibe of. Sylurian Candidate here. This is a story that features both Ace and Mel reunited. This is Mel after her initial travels, after she left with Glitz in Dragonfire. Whether or not this is classed as canon now is up to you, because of course Mel's come back in the 60th, and I mean, at the end of the day, canon schmanon. If it's a good story, it's a good story, and Sylurian Candidate is the best of the Ace and Mel run, I feel.
It's is it a prequel or sequel to Warriors of the
Sequel. Warriors, yeah. So
So it
it features.
explores the Eastern Western Bloc sort of power struggle within it.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's references to the Silurian triad as well, isn't there?
mm. And having Nick Briggs and another actor, female voice, the Silurians, isn't it? The
Yeah.
1970s one, so Superior Silurians, and it's wonderfully authentic
Mm.
to that. It's a great story. And I think the second time the Silurians appeared at Big Finish, so it's one of the rare occasions where we get classic Silurians.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's said that there's only really one story you could tell with the Silurian slash Sea Devils, and it's
Mm.
just rinse repeat ad nauseum. But I feel like this offers something a little bit different. Yeah,
Yes,
it doesn't break the mold, but it bends it a fair amount.
it's your meat and potatoes Doctor Who with a little extra spice there.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, can't get too much into why without spoiling it, but yeah, if you are a fan of the Silurian Tales on TV and Sea Devil Tales as well, this one worth your time,
I
I
mean,
feel,
if
and
you
the
want to,
music's brilliant.
yeah, if you want to get in the mood for Storm of the Sea Devils, or you really enjoyed Storm of the Sea Devils, we've not listened to it yet.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah, the same day that that comes out, the sale ends 5th of March, so you've
mhm.
got till from whenever this video is uploaded to then to pick these up while they're on sale. They'll be on sale again, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully this video doesn't date too quickly. Yeah, I mean,
Should, oh, go on.
we've got one last bonus though, haven't we?
Yes,
We've done
before we,
three for each doctor, but one particular doctor, you probably guessed which
which
already,
one it is, yeah.
gets a lot of love from us. We couldn't choose just three for him, so Peter Davison has time in office as well on
Mm,
this list of recommendations. We've saved this one till the end because it's a bit of a special release, isn't it?
yes, it's a nice little anthology. It's Peter Davison flexing his comedy chops as we see the Fifth Doctor actually be president of Gallifrey, and it's
Picking up on that thread from the Five Doctors. So if you've
yeah,
got your season 20 Blu-ray recently and you've rewatched that, maybe this could be a good one to follow on from that with.
yeah, and I think having the pairing of Leela and Tegan, an unlikely pairing, but it works so brilliantly together. We get a hint of a fourth Doctor adventure, what could have been. It is very much, Doctor Who does the thick of it, and that's great.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at that cover. How can that not lure you in to this release? It's a lot
Um,
of fun. Many
and
laughs to be had. I mean, yeah, sort of like the cover does almost give a more serious vibe to it, but yeah, it's Eddie Robson doing a comedy set on Gallifrey. Make sure you go into it with those expectations. Don't
yes,
expect some grand political epic on the scale of, Deadly Assassin or something with the Fifth Doctor. This isn't that. It's something a little bit different, but it's not a bad thing.
I mean it has a bit. If you love your EDAs, it's kind of flexes on a bit of that lore in part four with what it does with the
Yeah.
Citadel, which is quite cool. If you're a fan of the Eighth Doctor BBC books, you'll get a kick out of what Eddie Robson does there.
What more can sell it to you than that?
There we go. Very niche area of Doctor Who.
Yeah. I mean, it's Big Finish we're recommending
Mhm.
here.
It's
We're in the
yeah,
niche area as it is.
that's true. That is true.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a strong run, these
Mm.
30 stories that have on sale. There's not many here that I wouldn't recommend. At one point, we joked that we could maybe do it'd be easier to do a video of which ones we recommend you not to pick up, which ones we
Yes,
recommend you do.
be easier.
It's a bit too negative. We want to be
Mm.
positive here. Spread a bit of love to Big Finish because these are some very strong stories. So hopefully, if you're interested in this sale, we've helped you pinpoint some to pick up.
Yeah, hopefully 10 recommendations. So a wide variety of stories there for you to sort of go, oh, I fancy that type of flavor of Doctor Who. Hopefully we've got that covered. We've
Yeah.
scratched all itches for
Yeah,
every
we've given
different
each
Doctor Who
doctor
fan.
a fair shake of the stick.
Yes.
Some fairer than others, but
It's
it's
just
what it
the way
is.
the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Davo's the king of the main range at this point.
Yeah, it felt wrong to not include one of these recommendations here. We
Mm.
couldn't narrow it down to just 3, so you get a bonus. Lucky you. If you've enjoyed, if we've helped you, please leave a like, maybe subscribe as well, because we have another video about the main range / monthly range / monthly adventures coming up very soon, not too long away now, that will definitely be an exciting one, I feel. We
Yes.
are tier listing the entire range from release number 1 to release number 275. So that's going to be fun for us to do.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Hopefully
long
fun for
one,
you to
so
watch.
you can
Yeah.
be shouting at the screen, going, "No, Zagreo should be higher," or wherever. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you can take notes, prepare a long comment to rant at us with in that one. But yeah, we'll be coming back at you with that soon. Many other videos as well.
Plenty of reviews, news, and sort of your Big Finish monthly roundups as well. So if you like Big Finish, this is the place to be.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There we
Thank you all
go.
for watching.
Bye bye.
Goodbye, everyone.